Welcome back, everybody, to Niners Now. I'm your host, Brady Grustas, at Grustas Brady on X. You can follow me there. And today, a former draft crush of mine has joined the 49ers, and we're going to talk about that, of course. And stick around until later in the show because I will be doing a live 3-round mock draft, my very first of the season. Cannot wait to get into it. And plus, an NFL legend is returning to the league. But of course, before we begin, go ahead and subscribe down below. The support has been amazing recently, so please subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and let's get into it. Starting, of course, with the pressing news of the day. According to Jeremy Fowler, the 49ers are signing wide receiver Javon Baker to the practice squad. Baker was a 4th-round pick by the Patriots back in 2024, but only lasted a year in New England before being cut this summer. He spent a short time this year with the Eagles practice squad, but was also cut from Philly. He worked out with the Niners last week, and now he signs with the P squad. The wide receiver depth on this team is crowded, right? You've got a lot of guys who you don't really know what you have in them, right? Jordan Watkins doesn't really play. There's no room on the roster for Jacob Cowing. Junior Bergen and Malik Turner already on the practice squad. And now you add Javon Baker. You're not really sure what you have in any of those guys, so they're just a bunch of flyers at this point, hoping that some of them can stick around and be real parts of this passing offense moving forward. However, if you're going to take a flyer, I love Javon Baker as a flyer. He was phenomenal at UCF in college. He was a big draft crush of mine in 2024. Talent is not his issue, right? He is a great player. It was a personality clash in New England. He had some drop issues, maybe wasn't taking it so seriously, and was buried on the bench. Unfortunately, he didn't last in Philadelphia either, but he certainly has the talent to break out. That is obvious to anyone who watches him play. I'm really hoping that he can stick on this roster for next year, even if it is only the 90-man roster, because it's clear that he has the talent to make an impact on this team, so I'm hoping that wide receiver coach Leonard Hankerson can really get that out of him. Baker himself once said about his game, "Bring your popcorn. I make people in wheelchairs stand up." So a lot of confidence for Javon Baker. Let me know what you think of the Baker signing down below in the comments. As a corresponding move, both Adrian Martinez and Matt Gay were released from the practice squad. And this is notable because this likely means good things for, first of all, Eddie Pinheiro. He should be back this week against the Titans. And Curtis Rourke. Rourke, of course, had his practice window opened, and as a result, they release Adrian Martinez from the practice squad. So is Rourke going to be fully activated? Is he going to be the QB3? We shall see. But for now, he is getting those reps in practice. So now let's move on to our next segment, which of course is my very first mock draft of the season. I've been studying up on players, and I'm just going to go in blind, I think, here. I haven't done this mock draft ahead of time. I'm going to boot up the PFF mock draft simulator. I'm going to click the 49ers, and we are going to get started. I'm only doing 3 rounds because I don't pay for the PFF premium subscription or anything. So the mock draft is running right now. We're here at number 6 for the 49ers. And oh baby, there's some guys that I really like still on the board. First, I'm going to go to the offensive tackle position. And there's a lot of guys who I think are available here that will not be available once we get to this point in the real draft. Spencer Fano out of Utah is the one that, right away, it's kind of a surprise to me. Fano has been talked about like a top half of the first round player. You also see Caden Proctor out of Alabama, who's a huge dude who really has athleticism. Struggles with weight, though. A little bit overweight this year at Alabama. Jennings Dunker out of Iowa. He's a guy we've talked about on the show. Caleb Lomu out of Utah, Fano's teammate. And then Blake Miller from Clemson. Those are guys I'm looking at. But I think I'm maybe not going to go offensive line in the first round. I'm going to check the wide receiver position. And there we go. There we go. See, Casey Concepcion is here at wide receiver, and I am very tempted to go ahead and take Concepcion. Also, Elijah Surratt from Indiana is here. Looking at corner, nobody really at corner. What about at edge rusher? R. Mason Thomas from Oklahoma. That guy's a monster. You've also got LT Overton from Alabama. And last, I'll check the defensive interior. Ooh! A bunch of the main guys are still here at defensive interior. You've got Cade McDonald, Christian Miller, Amori Washington, Dante Corleone. Really some of the top names in the class. But I think what I'm going to do here, it's very tricky, but I do think that I'm going to go with R. Mason Thomas out of Oklahoma. He is such a good player. He fits this 49ers team perfectly. He brings real pass rush. And I know this edge group is going to be very, very deep, very, very soon, right? But I think you're always going to need young pass rushers, and R. Mason Thomas is that kind of guy. If it takes Mykel Williams a little longer to start rushing the passer effectively, then I think we got to be prepared for that. Now we're here at number 58. That's the 49ers second-round pick. I'm seeing some good wide receivers here. I see Skylar Bell out of UConn, one of the Biletnikoff Award finalists. I'm seeing Kamari Ramsey, safety out of USC. Dante Corleone is here, good defensive lineman out of Cincinnati. But one thing I want to, and he is still here. The top rated offensive tackle on the board for PFF is Blake Miller out of Clemson. So that is where I will be going with this pick. I've had my eye on Blake Miller ever since last year. He had a really good year for Clemson last year, did not come out in the draft. But now he is eligible this year. So I'm going to go with Blake Miller. First two picks, we've got R. Mason Thomas and Blake Miller really beefing up the trenches. That's been a focus here. But now let's see if we can get a pass catcher. Skylar Bell goes off the board. He goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But there are still some good players here. I see Bryce Lance from North Dakota State, brother of Trey Lance. I see Zachariah Branch, high-touted recruit out of Georgia. I see Antonio Williams from Clemson, who's had an up-and-down career. But I think where I'm going to go is wide receiver Malachi Fields from Notre Dame. This dude is huge. This dude can jump out the gym, and he's a ridiculous athlete, right? He's made some incredible highlight plays. Look up those Malachi Fields highlights. I'm going to take him in round 3. And let's see, do they give the 49ers another third? They do not. So that is my official mock draft. R. Mason Thomas in the first round. He wins with power, but he's still got a pass rushing bag. He is one of the best pass rushers in the SEC. He is a monster, and I do think the 49ers, they need more pass rush, right? You've got Nick Bosa coming back, got Bryce Huff. But Bryce Huff is not on a long-term deal. Yetur Gross-Matos is expiring. Keon White is around for one more year, but then he's expiring. You don't know if Mykel Williams is going to be able to rush the passer much the next couple years. R. Mason Thomas can rush the passer, so we're going to bring him in to do just that. Second round pick, Blake Miller. He's going to be the Trent Williams replacement. Kind of a Colton McKivitz type of player. Certainly a better prospect than Colton McKivitz was. Struggles with power a little bit, but he is such a fluid mover. And I think he really fits this outside zone sort of scheme that the 49ers like to run. And then in the third round, I had to grab a pass catcher. I went with Malachi Fields. Ridiculous athlete, great size, great speed, great hands. So I thought it was a no-brainer to grab Fields in the third round. Let me know what you think of my mock draft. And of course, you can start making your own and tell me about your mock drafts in the comments down below. Now, I want to talk about some big NFL news. Phillip Rivers is officially coming out of retirement to play for the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are signing 44-year-old Phillip Rivers to their practice squad. And to my knowledge, this is the first time there has been a grandfather in the NFL. That's right, Phillip Rivers has a child who has a child. And a fun fact, apparently, Rivers is coaching high school football right now, and with his high school team, he runs the same offense that Shane Steichen does with the Colts. And so apparently Steichen is very comfortable with how familiar Rivers is with the offense. Of course, Rivers last played in the NFL in 2020 with the Chargers. He's now the oldest player in the NFL, hasn't played a game since 2020 with the Colts. It's been 5 years. He's currently eligible for the NFL Hall of Fame, and he's going to play a game on Sunday. Can you believe that? This is one of the wildest things I've ever seen in the NFL. Rivers is such a fun player to watch. I can't wait to see him. He's going to be playing the Seahawks defense, so good luck, Mr. Rivers. This is one of the craziest de-retirement stories of all time. Because you got to think, Rivers almost came out of retirement back in 2022 to play for the 49ers when Purdy was a rookie. Now we're 3 years down the road and Rivers is officially coming back. There's a very real chance that we see Phillip Rivers against the 49ers in Week 16, and I cannot wait to talk about that matchup if that is the case. So very cool. Leave your thoughts about Phillip Rivers down in the comments, because it is now time for the comments section. This, of course, is when I go over your comments and I give my own thoughts. If you want to be featured in the comments section, all you got to do is leave a comment. The more you leave, the more likely you are to be in this video. Thank you to everybody who leaves a comment. I read every single comment, even the ones not featured in this video, but a special thanks to the 3 comments that I've got highlighted here. First comment now from Robert. Bringing in Rourke this late in the season doesn't make a lot of sense to most. I've wanted to see what the guy has, so I'm good. I think that they want to see what Rourke has before a potential Mac Jones trade in the offseason. What do you think? Well, Robert, I think you nailed it, man. Rourke is a really interesting prospect and a really interesting player. He would have gone a lot higher in last year's draft if he was healthy. So now, if he's recovered, if he's healthy, he could be pretty good in this offense. He is an experienced college quarterback. He, in theory, would take a lot less time to acclimate to the offense or to the scheme than some other rookie quarterbacks out there. And if Mac Jones is traded this offseason, Rourke is first in line to be the backup. I mean, there are other potential backup quarterbacks that are going to be in the free agent market, but Mac Jones is pretty clearly one of the best quarterbacks available. So I imagine he'll get a lot of interest. I would love to get a look at Curtis Rourke now if I were the 49ers, and it does not surprise me at all that that is what they are doing. Now, if he's amazing, does that mean, oh, we have to go trade Mac Jones? I don't think so, but I'm sure they would feel a little bit more comfortable with it if Rourke was playing well. Next comment now from Dino. I think Upton Stout is the best. Alfred Collins is second. And of course, this is in reference to when I asked who the best rookie has been for the 49ers so far this year. So Dino says, I think Upton Stout is the best. Alfred Collins is second. But next season, I hope they could keep 15 rookies of the 2025 draft with the team, 8 defense, 7 offense, including those talents they placed on IR/redshirt for now. It is near impossible. Since the next draft, 2026, they will find future replacements for Trent, Kittle, Ayuk, and Brendel. I am high on rookie quarterback Rourke to replace Mac Jones. And you're right, Dino. It is going to be nearly impossible to keep all of those 2025 players on the roster. It gets really tricky when you get to year 2. I mean, we see it with Jacob Cowing, right? He's missing the entire year, basically, because he's on IR. There's just not a lot of roster spots available. And that's the case for winning teams, right? There are not a lot of spots available. Depth should be pretty good, but healthy guys coming back to this team means there are going to be a lot of good players who just don't make this roster, straight up. And you say they're going to bring in replacements for Trent and Kittle and Ayuk and Brendel. I'm sure maybe they'll bring in 1, maybe 2 replacements, but I don't know how. I don't think they're going to get all 4. So I would lower your expectations there. It's pretty tough to replace those guys. And now, last comment from B19. Garrett Wallow could be good depth who can be cut when Bethune is healthy. I think you're totally right. I think that's spot on. Wallow, sure, he could stick around and be a real good special teams linebacker for a really good special teams unit, or this could be a short-term move, just linebacker depth while Bethune is hurt. I saw a tweet, I think it was from Kyle Posey, that said Jalen Graham is out of elevations from the practice squad. So the 49ers needed another linebacker who they could bring in and have play on Sundays. And it seems like Wallow's going to be that guy, at least for the remainder of this season. So that is all for today, folks. Did you guys like my mock draft? Are Mason Thomas, Blake Miller, and Malachi Fields? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know. And of course, what do you think about Phillip Rivers back in the NFL after all this time? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you enjoyed. Leave a comment, leave a like, and let me know if there's any topics that you'd like to see me cover. Thank you all for watching, and subscribe for 49ers videos 5 days a week. I'm Brady Grustas, at GrustasBrady on X. This has been Niners Now, and I'll see you tomorrow.